Delaware will become the 11th state to legalize full marriage equality. They have the Delaware State Senate has voted to make Delaware that 11th state. The bill now goes to Democratic Governor Jack Markell, who plans to sign it. This would go into effect on July 1st. Now, interestingly, Delaware already has identical rights to marriage through civil unions, and this really would not change anything about the nature or characteristics of the relationship that two men or two women can choose to enter into as compared to one that a man and a woman would enter into. But it does change the name of it, and this is considered significant because it would really make it totally equal. It's not equal but under a separate cover, not equal the same thing but we call it something else. It really is full equality, and I don't think it's insignificant to just change the name of it.
No, it's not. I mean, it's the word marriage. It has to be in there because it has to be the exact same thing. Otherwise,
it has value.
It's not just the word, though. If the Supreme Court ends up striking down DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, by calling it marriage, it'll be an official state-licensed marriage, and the couples will get federal recognition and tax benefits.
So there is
implications.
The
federal aspect.
Yeah, the federal aspect makes a difference. So one of the main complaints we hear from anti-equality activists is that if you pass marriage equality at the state level, aren't you going to start forcing religious clergy to perform same-sex marriages, even if they conflict with religious beliefs of a particular church? Now, I would say I don't really care about that. But
no, I mean, you can get other people who are not affiliated with any religious organization to do your marriage.
The law as passed does not specify that religious clergy would have to do same-sex marriages if they conflict with religious beliefs. However, there is this other law in Delaware which bans discrimination based on sexual orientation, and it's possible, and I would love for it to be interpreted this way, that it will be interpreted to mean that it is a form of discrimination that violates that law if religious clergy do refuse to do same-sex marriages. And you know what? I think that's fine. If you want to be in the insurance business, for example, you don't just do whatever you want. There are regulations. There are rules where the government says, if you want to be in the insurance game, you've got to do A, B, and C. And why is it any different to say, well, religion doesn't count? The government can't say, hey, if you want to be a church, if you want to be a place of worship, you've got to do A, B, and C. And one of those things is not violate any of the laws that the state has. And if one of those is discrimination based on sexual orientation, I don't see any problem with that. Religious organizations are not exempt from complying with laws. They shouldn't be anyway. I know in many cases they are, and I would be fine with that. I would welcome it, Lewis. I would relish it.
I think everyone on this program would agree with you.
We are, if we look overall at what's going on here, we are developing two countries within the United States, as if we weren't already. But we now have New England as a solid block of 6 states, plus New York, Iowa, Washington State, New Jersey, now Delaware, and Washington, D.C. 11 states plus Washington, D.C., where we have full marriage equality. Lawmakers in Minnesota are also expected to vote this week on a bill which would legalize same-sex marriage. The advocates there say they do have the votes to pass it. We are developing two countries here, if we don't have them already, with vastly different infrastructure, social policy, education, and economic standing. I mean, we really are seeing a split that in 10 years could be different enough between states that it would almost be two different countries.
Then do we have another civil war?
I don't think so, Natan, right?
Not because of this. This is going to become legal in over 40 states within 10 years, I
Not
think.
specifically because of marriage equality, but just overall this growing divide, certain characteristics that are common in some states and not in others. We're really developing a kind of a two-country in a sense.
I don't know that I necessarily agree. I mean, I think there's an urban-rural split which is pretty much explains the situation a lot better than red states and blue states. So I'm not really convinced that there's sort of like a two-region thing going on. I think there's just liberals and conservatives, but I don't see any increased polarization coming in the next few years.
All right, Natan doesn't see it.
But there essentially exists a political war right now.
There certainly does.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. On today's bonus show, we've got some great stories to talk about on today's bonus show. If you've never heard the bonus show, Lewis hosts it. And people just love it. The amount of email we get about the bonus show, Lewis, is unbelievable. Today we'll talk about the Michael Jackson autopsy, and we're not really into the Michael Jackson case per se, but there's some really interesting stuff in the autopsy results. We'll also talk about former Fugees member Lauryn Hill going to jail over taxes, and fascinatingly, her argument about taxes, even though she doesn't realize it, is very similar to the libertarian argument on taxes, and a lot more stuff. davidpakman.com/membership. Sign up, support the show, and get that bonus show. Back after this.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.